The grand hall of the Zylothian palace shimmered with bioluminescent light, casting an ethereal glow over the gathered dignitaries. Princess Kaelara stood at the center of it all, her iridescent scales reflecting the soft hues of the room. She was the most sought-after royal in the galaxy, a paragon of beauty and intellect. Yet, for all her admirers, she had spurned every suitor who dared to approach her. None could meet her standards, none could ignite the spark she longed for. Her father, Emperor Zyloth, had grown weary of her rejections. "Kaelara," he said, his voice a deep rumble that echoed through the hall, "you cannot remain alone forever. The stability of our empire depends on alliances. Choose a consort, or I will choose one for you." Kaelara tilted her head, her golden eyes narrowing. "I will not bind myself to someone unworthy, father. I would rather rule alone than share my throne with a fool." The emperor sighed, his mandibles twitching in frustration. "Very well. But this is the last season of courtship. If you do not choose by the next lunar cycle, the decision will be mine." The princess nodded, her resolve unshaken. She had no intention of settling for less than she deserved. The next day, the palace announced a grand tournament of wit, strength, and charm. Suitors from across the galaxy flocked to Zyloth, each hoping to win the princess's hand. Among them was a human named Elias Carter, a diplomat from Earth. He was not like the others, no gleaming exoskeleton, no shimmering scales, no towering stature. He was ordinary. Or so it seemed. Elias had been sent by the United Earth Federation as a gesture of goodwill. Humanity was new to the galactic stage, and they were eager to prove themselves. Elias, however, had no illusions about his chances. He had read about Kaelara's reputation and knew she had rejected far more impressive candidates. Still, he was curious. And, if he was honest with himself, a little intrigued. The tournament began with a series of challenges designed to test the suitor's worth. The first was a trial of intellect, a complex puzzle that required both logic and creativity to solve. Kaelara watched from her throne, her expression unreadable, as the suitors struggled with the task. Elias approached the puzzle with a calm demeanor. He studied it for a moment, then began to manipulate the pieces with a precision that surprised even himself. Within minutes, he had solved it. The crowd murmured in astonishment, and Kaelara's eyes flickered with interest. The next challenge was a test of strength. The suitors were tasked with lifting a massive crystal monolith, a feat that required both physical power and mental focus. Elias, though not as physically imposing as the others, used his knowledge of leverage and balance to succeed where many failed. Kaelara's interest deepened. The final challenge was the most daunting, a trial of charm. Each suitor was given the opportunity to speak with the princess, to convince her of their worthiness. One by one, they approached her, offering grand declarations of love and promises of power. Kaelara listened politely but remained unmoved. When it was Elias's turn, he approached her with a quiet confidence. "Princess Kaelara," he began, "I am not here to offer you riches or power. I am here to offer you something far more valuable, understanding. I have studied your culture, your history, your achievements. I admire your strength, your intelligence, your independence. And I believe that together, we could create something truly extraordinary." Kaelara raised an eyebrow. "And what, pray tell, do you believe we could create?" Elias smiled. "A bridge between our worlds. A partnership based on mutual respect and shared goals. I do not seek to possess you, princess. I seek to stand beside you." For the first time in her life, Kaelara felt a flicker of something she could not name. It was not love, not yet. But it was the beginning of something. She nodded slowly. "You are different, Elias Carter. I will consider your words." The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Elias was invited to stay at the palace, and he and Kaelara spent hours in conversation. They debated philosophy, shared stories of their respective cultures, and explored the gardens of the palace together. Kaelara found herself drawn to his wit, his kindness, his unwavering respect for her autonomy. One evening, as they stood on a balcony overlooking the city, Kaelara turned to Elias. "Why do you not try to impress me with grand gestures, as the others did?" Elias chuckled. "Because I know that you are not impressed by such things. You are a woman of substance, Kaelara. You deserve more than empty flattery." Kaelara's heart swelled with an emotion she could not name. She had spent her life surrounded by those who sought to control her, to possess her. Elias was different. He saw her as an equal, as a partner. And for the first time, she allowed herself to imagine a future with someone by her side. The lunar cycle came to an end, and the time for Kaelara's decision arrived. The suitors gathered in the grand hall once more, their anticipation palpable. Kaelara stood before them, her gaze steady. "I have made my choice," she announced, her voice ringing clear. "I have chosen a consort who sees me not as a prize to be won, but as a partner to be respected. I have chosen Elias Carter of Earth." The hall erupted in murmurs of surprise and disbelief. Elias stepped forward, his heart pounding. "Princess Kaelara," he said, "I am honored. And I promise to stand by your side, to support you in all that you do." Kaelara smiled, a genuine smile that lit up her entire being. "And I promise to do the same, Elias. Together, we will create a future worthy of our dreams." As they stood together, hand in hand, the crowd erupted in applause. The alien princess who had spurned every suitor had finally found her match, not in a warrior or a king, but in a humble human who had left her begging for more. Years later, as they ruled side by side, Kaelara often reflected on that fateful day. She had once believed that she would never find someone worthy of her love. But Elias had proven her wrong. He had shown her that true worth was not measured by power or prestige, but by the strength of one's character and the depth of one's heart. And for that, she would be forever grateful.